What if some of the patterns affecting your health today didn't start with your adult habits, or your current lifestyle, or anything about your adult life? What if they started much earlier in the environments you grew up in? A client who was struggling with her health told me, "I had a good childhood. Nothing bad really happened." And as we talked, she proudly mentioned that she was always the good child, the one who didn't cause problems, the one who kept the peace. No one yelled at her. No one hit her. Everything looked fine. But what she learned in that environment, without realizing it, was that it wasn't safe to fully express herself, because when she did, she was corrected. "Don't talk like that. That's not nice. You're overreacting. You're too sensitive. Calm down. Be the bigger person." Nothing extreme. Just enough that she learned it was easier and safer to stay quiet. So she adapted. At first it was small. She learned when to speak and when not to, what was okay to say and what wasn't. Over time, it became automatic. She became the one who managed herself, the one who stayed agreeable, the one who kept things calm and steady, and that worked. It made her easy to be around, responsible, reliable, predictable. But it also meant something else. She never really learned where she ended, and someone else began. So she kept adjusting, reading the room, anticipating needs. Not because anyone asked her to, but because it felt necessary. And over time, that made it harder to recognize what she actually wanted, or needed, or felt. Saying no felt uncomfortable. Speaking up felt like a risk. Taking care of herself often came second. And her body learned something at the same time: to stay alert, to stay contained, to stay in control. So now, years later, she's dealing with a body that doesn't seem to relax, and a pattern of overextending herself, even when there's no reason she has to. She wakes up tired, even after a full night's sleep. Her shoulders are tight more often than not. Her mind keeps running, even when she's trying to slow down. And because she's so used to pushing through, she doesn't always notice it right away, until the body starts asking for attention. Through fatigue, tension, digestive discomfort, or just a sense that something feels off. This is more common than people think. Learning early on to hold things in, to stay agreeable, to keep the peace, to not be yourself, and carrying that into adulthood. This doesn't require something extreme to have happened. Sometimes this is what trauma looks like. Not one major event, but small moments repeated over and over where you didn't feel safe. And over time, your system adapted. Because as children, we don't analyze. We internalize. I need to be quiet. I have to get it right. I can't upset people. This must be my fault. And those patterns don't just stay in the mind. They shape the nervous system and what the body considers normal. So trying to just relax or think differently often doesn't work because the pattern isn't coming from conscious thought. It's coming from what your system learned was safe. And recognizing this is where the shift begins. The point where you move from trying to control behavior to understanding what's driving it. The moment you stop pushing against the pattern and start recognizing it, that's the entry point to real change. Not by forcing change, but by becoming aware of the pattern without judgment. You might start by asking, do I say yes when I really want to say no? Do I think about how others will react before I say what I feel? Do I feel responsible for keeping things smooth or avoiding conflict? Sometimes awareness alone can begin to loosen the pattern. That's where deeper work comes in, because it's not about trying harder. It's about helping your system recognize that it no longer needs to respond that way. Because once your system no longer believes it has to protect you in the same way, it stops reacting as if it does. And that's when things start to feel different. You feel safe. You speak more freely. You say no without the same internal tension. Your body starts to settle instead of staying on alert. And that supports physical healing as well. Because when the body is no longer in a constant state of tension or stress, it has more capacity to rest, to recover, and to function the way it's designed to. Not because you forced it, but because the pattern underneath it changed. So the question becomes, where might you still be responding from a pattern you learned a long time ago without realizing it? If this resonates and you want to go deeper with this, my book, Why You're Sick and How to Get Well, and the companion workbook walks you through it step by step, with exercises to help you uncover and shift these patterns. Or if you feel like you've been trying to figure this out on your own for a while, request a discovery session. Let's discuss what's possible. Sometimes a different level of conversation is what creates a different level of change. And sometimes the goal isn't to fix yourself, it's to update what you learned when you didn't have a choice.